Humbugs. Tasty? Or, not so much? Now let's take you back to 1858, where William Hardacre Humbug Billy sold from a stall in Greenmarket in Bradford. He bought most of his sweets from a confectioner called Joseph Neal. Now William had run out of peppermint lozenges. He needed some. They were quite popular. Now these sweets were quite expensive to make, and back in the day it was very normal to substitute some of the sugar. This was with a substance called daff or daft. It was made with a harmless mixture of sulphate of lime, powdered limestone and plaster of Paris. Now to me that doesn't sound like a harmless mixture. I mean, why would you want plaster of Paris in your sweets? Now Joseph didn't have any in stock, so he sent his lodger 3 miles down the road to the druggist Hodgson to go and get some. When he got there he met William Goddard. He was there looking after the store because Charles Hodgson was upstairs ill in bed. William went up to see Charles to ask what the procedure was for this sort of purchase, and Charles told him under no circumstances is he to serve Joseph as employee. He had to wait until he was much better and he could do it himself. Now James was very persistent and insisted on being served, and with a great deal of reluctance Charles finally caved and told William where he could find what he needed. In a cask in the corner of the attic. Now that would normally not be an issue, but poor William blindly went and gathered substance from a cask in the corner, probably assuming they were the same, because neither were labelled. Unfortunately he came down with a completely different substance, arsenic trioxide. William sold it to James and James went on his merry way back to Joseph in the shop. As you can imagine, this wasn't a mistake that was noticed instantly, even during the manufacture by the experienced sweet maker James Appleton, who Joseph employed. James did notice that it was slightly different after it was finished and a lot darker than normal. He was also violently ill while making, with pains in his arms and his hands, but he never imagined that it could possibly be poisoning. I mean, who would? Who would? Now William Hardacre bought the sweets off of Joseph Neal. He managed to negotiate a small deal because even he noticed they didn't quite look the same as normal, but again didn't think much of it. He also became ill after trying the sweets. That night, at the £40 of sweets that he bought from Joseph Neal, he sold £5 of them on his market stall. Again, none the wiser. On the morning of Sunday the 30th of October, the day after, 2 young boys died. Now originally this was thought to have been cholera. All the symptoms were the same. Why would they possibly think it could be anything else? The day carried on and more deaths were occurring. So many people with abdomen pain, vomiting, retching, diarrhoea. Oh, horrible. When the police did start to investigate, a link was soon found that the majority of people that were ill had just happened to have bought some sweets the night before from William Hardacre's stall. Of course, the link from there then went on to Joseph Neal and his shop, which then went on to Charles Hodgson and his druggist store. Due to the speed of the authorities here, they managed to save a lot of people. They managed to give the antidote out fairly quickly, which means if they hadn't have done, a lot more people had died. Now over 200 people were ill and 21 at least died of this. To be fair, the people who had the sweets and didn't die were very lucky. In each lozenge there was enough in there to kill 2 people. 2 people. And if all of the sweets had been sold, 2,000 people plus could have died. Joseph Neal, Charles Hodgson, William Goddard were all arrested and charged with manslaughter via negligence. Joseph and William were both acquitted without a blemish to their name. Charles unfortunately wasn't quite so quick, but he was later acquitted. Because of this, clear, better regulations were obviously needed, and this was the precursor to the Pharmacy Act of 1868, and also brought in the 1860 Adulteration of Food and Drink Bill, which changed the way which ingredients could be used, mixed and combined. Now the final bit to this story is Humbug Billy, who after being paralysingly ill after eating the sweets, managed to pull on through and died in 1866 at the age of 61, but he carried on selling sweets on his market stall right up until he died. Hey everyone, just a quick one. Do you know what? It's really difficult to do filming sometimes because I do seem to have a fellow friend who does like to sleep on my lap while I'm filming. It really is not easy then to keep going backwards and forwards to the camera to turn it on and off in between bits. All part of the fun, I suppose.